So you've all heard by now that obviously there was a giant bombing in Manchester at an Ariana Grande concert. I want to tell you some of the details here. Obviously, every part of this is tragic. Huffington Post explains at least 22 people were killed, including children, and 59 were injured in the late night explosion. Police said 12 children under the age of 16 were among the wounded. Two of the victims have been identified as 18-year-old Georgina Callender and 8-year-old Safi Rose Russos. Yeah, every part of this story is heartbreaking. Okay, let's go to try to find out who did it. We at least know the main assailant who died in this attack. First of all, the Islamic State militant group, that's ISIS, claimed responsibility in a statement released on Tuesday for the attack via one of its official media channels. It is unclear, however, whether ISIS had any direct role in planning the Manchester bombing or if the attacker was in communication with the group. The US has not verified that ISIS was behind the attack. Director of National Intelligence Dan Coates said Tuesday morning. We do know who did it. According to British authorities, it is 23-year-old Salman Abedi. Salman Abedi. So he apparently blew himself up. An IED, we believe, that killed so many people. And did he target this Ariana Grande concert because there'd be more kids around? Unclear. Obviously, looking for a mass of people. That is why they do it on planes and then trains, and they've done it in these terrorist attacks in sporting events and now concerts. And it's tragic. And there's a Telegraph video that we're showing you now. And people, it happened outside and people just don't know what's going on, and some of them are kidding around, and then they realize, oh my God, and they start to see people with limbs that have been blown off and blood everywhere. And at one point, the crowd is told to calmly exit the building, everything's fine and safe. That's not true, as it turns. Look, it's much better to exit safely, because then that'll lead to more deaths if you don't. But it turned out that things were not safe. But at that point, the explosion had already happened. Now, more from Huffington Post on details. Manchester Chief Constable Ian Hopkins said early Tuesday the attack was conducted by one man who died at the scene. That's the guy we just told you about, Abedi. And initial reports said he carried an improvised explosive device near the arena and detonated. Ian Hopkins, that's the same chief constable for Manchester, says, we've been treating this as a terrorist incident, and we believe that while the attack last night was conducted by one man, the priority is to establish whether he was acting alone or as part of a network. Now, I have read that another person was arrested as well. Now, in the first 24 hours, there's always confusing details, some of which turn out to be wrong later. So we don't know whether that guy was connected to the attack or not. Obviously, they're questioning him for a reason. They're investigating it as a terrorist attack. What else would you call this? It is almost certainly terrorism. ISIS takes credit for it, and they took credit for it fairly quickly. Sometimes when it's not related to them, they take a little longer. They're kind of confused, and they're like, yeah, I guess we want credit for that. This one they took credit very quickly on. That doesn't prove that it was coordinated with ISIS, and oftentimes ISIS will take credit afterwards. But that's what they're investigating, and we'll find out. We don't have good word on that yet. Now, when you now I can give you the fatalities, and I just did, right? But sometimes there are portions in the story that when I read it really hit home, and obviously when you see the pictures as we're showing you here, and if you're uncomfortable with it, obviously I get it if you want to turn away from it, but we do have to see the results of what happened here, and Andy Holly was waiting outside for the kids. He got hit by the explosion. He was okay, and then he explained, I looked through some of the bodies to try and find my wife and daughter. And in that moment when I read that and I thought about being in his place for a second and trying to find your wife and daughter in the carnage of all those bodies lying around, it's, if you're anywhere near human, that'll turn your stomach real quick. Now, as it turned out, super lucky. His wife and daughter were okay, and even though he got hit a little bit by the explosion, he's okay. Some talked about being thrown 30 feet by the explosion, somehow miraculously okay though. And then here's one more from the story. The 23-year-old Ariana Grande, of course, is a 4-time Kids' Choice Award winner, and because of her roots on Nickelodeon, her fan base tends to skew on the younger side. And that also sent a chill down my spine because they might have been targeting the kids there. And look, what do we have? We've got an eye for an eye throughout the whole world, and we're all almost nearly blind now. And one of the things I think of in these situations is Brave New Films did this amazing story where they found some of the victims of our bombings in different places throughout the world. And if you're not aware, the US has killed civilians in Pakistan, Yemen, Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, of course, all of those. Now, in the context of this, the rest of the press, I'm sure, certainly the right wing, will yell at us and say, how dare you, you should only talk about this and you should never mention any context at all. But in order to stop the terrorists, we have to figure out why they're doing it. And there's some simpletons out there who think, oh no, you just call it a magical name and then it'll go away. Well, you guys got your president and he called it the magical name. It still hasn't gone away. He said he would solve all this in 30 days. We're now 4 months in, he still hasn't solved it. So what happened to your magic? Turns out that's a really, really dumb strategy. He said we'd bomb them and we'd kill their family members. Actually, we did. We've killed a lot more civilians under Trump in our bombings in Syria. Has that solved it? That hasn't solved it either. So it turns out you were wrong, just more carnage doesn't exactly solve it. One of the reasons that they do it, I think the main reason why any of the mass shooters or terrorists do it, is they're looking for glory. And they're looking for glory in all the wrong places, and so they want to be famous. So, here we'll say the name, and I try really hard not to say the names going forward, whether they're mass shooters or terrorists. We don't always succeed on that, honestly, but we're trying our best. And so I don't want to feed into that, and I don't want to have these guys become martyrs to their fan base, however perverted and sick that fan base might be, some sort of heroes. But the second part of it is they think, in the case of the Muslim fundamentalists who do it, well, we want you to feel what we feel. So when our kids are killed, you guys don't seem to care. That's why I mentioned the Brave New Films piece, because not only did they do a story about it, they brought this kid in who had lost family members. And they had him testify before Congress, which is powerful. And the parents explained that whenever anything flies overhead now, the kid goes and hides in a tree because he's worried that the houses are going to get bombed by the US like we've done in the past, and that his family members and he himself are going to die. So we've traumatized those folks to no end. And so part of this is they want to traumatize us back. It doesn't make either one of those things right, and it doesn't equate them. Just because you mention context doesn't mean that all those things are equal. Yes, there are some bad guys that we go after. Yes, we make mistakes. Yes, we most of the time try not to target civilians, although some of the times we do. And so when this happens, we have got to be smart about figuring out how to end it. And just saying more bombings or just targeting one religion, it's so simple and it makes you feel good. It's fall intellectualism, like, oh yeah, I figured it. I'm so brave, I'm so strong. I was brave enough to say it's Islam. Wow, in the West saying it's Islam, so brave. Not remotely brave and not remotely smart. Now in this case, it appears to be a Muslim kid who did it, and certainly fundamentalist, certainly a terrorist. But what we're trying to do is prevent further ones. So yes, you need police work for that. And sometimes I remember when they criticized Bill Clinton all the way back in the day, the Bush administration had said, no, we can't treat these people like criminals, we have to treat it like a war. Okay, but oftentimes they come from our own countries, whether it's here in the US or in the UK. I don't know where this guy came from, but if he's inside your own country, what are you gonna do, bomb yourself? You bomb Manchester? Well, that's what he did. I mean, that's painfully stupid. You're gonna randomly bomb the country that is what his parents or grandparents are from? And what does that accomplish? One of the things it accomplishes is more civilian deaths, more eyes gouged out, then more people looking to gouge out our eyes. It doesn't mean that you appease them, hell no, right? It doesn't mean you negotiate with them. For Christ's sake, though, for everybody's sake, let's find a smart strategy and not just go with easy answers like, bomb them, see what happens. We've been bombing them for decades on top of decades. Is it working? Can we, at a bare minimum, all reasonable human beings acknowledge that whatever we've been doing, and certainly bombing and war has been a giant part of our strategy, it isn't working. They continue to bomb us, maybe not despite the fact that we bombed them, but because of the fact that we bombed them. So if you think that is an outrageous thing to say and you want to close your eyes and close your mind and just yell out things like Islam, radical Islamic extremists, bomb, war, okay, you can choose to be stupid. I can't help you on that. And if you think that that's an intellectual argument, I feel even more sorry for you. But I hope that the rest of us can figure out a better way to address this, because what we're doing now isn't working. And every time I see one of these stories, if you're a decent human being, you feel terrible for those people. And the parents who lost the 8-year-old, the 16-year-olds, and their friends and their family and all the people who were there who will be traumatized forever. And of course, partly you think it could have been us there, but for the grace of God, go I. So for everybody's sake, let's figure out a way to solve this and not do it in a way that is simpleton, that is counterproductive. And yes, part of that is great police investigations to root it out, hopefully before it happens, and certainly afterwards to catch the people who did this and put a short-term end to it while we look for a long-term solution that can actually work. One last thing, guys. I know it seems impossible because we just have these attacks over and over and over again, right? But remember, there was a lot of terrorism, and a lot of people don't remember. This is why I give you the context. There was more terrorism in the 1970s in Europe than there is today. You know, if you watch the news, you go, no way, the terrorism is way bigger today. It's not, it was much larger in the 1970s. So now a lot of that has declined. And how did it decline? Well, look, one example, for example, is the situation in Northern Ireland, where we had bombing after bombing, death after death, civilians killed, maimed, limbs blown off, all the same things. And you know what worked in that case to lower the violence dramatically? Peace. I know that they keep telling you the answer is war, but it is counterfactual. The reality is, for example, I'll give you another example, Israel versus Egypt. Egypt was Israel's largest enemy, the one that they feared the most, the one that did the most amount of damage. Jimmy Carter did a peace deal. Nobody's been killed between those two countries since. Other countries around Israel that didn't do a peace deal, they're still at war with, still have great hostilities, conflicts that flare up over and over again. But what worked? A peace deal worked. So when you see on television people trying to rile you up with your anger, it's easy, I get angry too. We're all humans, of course we get angry at this, right? But remember that sometimes they have a point, their point is to drive towards more war, and that has not stopped the terrorism, that has not made it better. There is one thing that historically has worked, and I know that they'll say, oh yeah, you're weak, haha. Well, okay, then you're stupid, because facts show you that when we do peace deals, shockingly enough, a lot of the time, we get peace. If you're as tired of these bombings and acts of terrorism as I am, for God's sake, let's head in a different direction. Corporate media is awesome.
Wrong.
Independent media is the way to go.
Believe me, believe me.
Support independent media right now. Become a Young Turks member, tytnetwork.com/join.